Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at it. So what we're going to look at today is displaying bivariate categorical data. So bivariate, there's two different groups here we're going to compare, and we're comparing various mascots. So now just so you know, this is fictional data. So the first thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and take this data and create two bar charts below to display the results. If you can color it, that'd be great. If not, display them differently. Now in the third graph, I'd like you to create two segmented bar charts. So again, you're going to stack those. So go ahead and pause the video and do this. Okay, so go ahead, let's take a look. So you have your teacher's bar chart. And then you're going to have your student bar chart. And then you can see I have my segmented bar chart right here. Now, looking at this first question, it said, according to your displays, which mascot appears to have the most support? Explain. Well, I'm looking at the bars right here. The Rams, if I was to stack those would be much taller than the Falcons or the Prairie Dogs. So that's what I went ahead and chose for my answer. So once we got those, it said upon hearing the results of the survey, the students argued that the decision was incorrect because there had been 100 teachers and 500 students. So take that information and fill in the table. So to do that, we went ahead and got the percent. So for the teachers, 80%, so 80 times 100 is 100. So 10 would go for the Falcons, 10 would go for the Prairie Dogs. For the students, okay, so the Rams, there was 30%. So you would take 30% times the 500, and that's how you got this value here. Falcons, 60%. Okay, so just to to give you an idea, I took 0.6 times 500 to get this value. We wanted to, we filled in this table. Same thing for the Prairie Dogs, there was 10%, so 10% times 500 gave us this value here. Okay, and you might want to write that in. So I went ahead and I filled in this table, and then I just added up the total. Okay, so now it said how many times more students were sampled than teachers? Well, 100 teachers, 500 students. That answer was 5. Now the question here is, how can you update the third graph in number 1 to take into account the sample size? So it was 5 times more likely. So looking at this graph right now, it's kind of not perfect, but it's 1-to-1. So I need to expand this. Well, to do this, pretty much the idea here is that you're going to go ahead, and what we need to do, sorry, excuse me, I'm going to move this around for a second. We need to go ahead and add 4 more bars. So you're going to need to draw yours in. I'm just going to peel mine off. And you really don't need this line in between. I kind of just need some more shading going on in here. So now you can kind of see it's more of a 5-to-1 ratio, or 5 times. So I actually need more of my blue. Go ahead and make this here to make this work and get your color coding going. Okay. So add more for 4 more bars, and then you'd have 1 teacher bar. Now for the last question, it says, what should they make the mascot be? Well, if you're looking at this, the area right here, this big blue area, that's actually representing the Rams. Okay, you can also see that from the table right here. I'm sorry, that's actually representing the Falcons. You can also actually see that from the table right here. The mascot should be the Falcons. The Falcons were chosen 310 times compared to the other 2 mascots. Okay, again, you can see that from the area, and you can see that from other cases. So you definitely want to make that your mascot in this case. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at a few of our important ideas. So you definitely want to copy these down. So Categorical versus quantitative. Categorical variables, those are names or labels. Quantitative, numerical, and they measure a quantity. Different ways to display categorical data. There are bar graphs, side-by-side bar graphs, which are, you have your segmented bar graphs, okay, where each bar shows a proportion of an individual in each corresponding category. Association is also something we're talking about, and that's if knowing the value of one variable helps us predict the value of the other, the two variables are associated. Now, that segmented bar chart where we added the bars, that's called a mosaic plot. Okay, and that's a modified segmented bar chart where the widths are proportional to the size of the group. So going back to that, I actually don't have my red handy, but this is called a mosaic plot. So let's go ahead and look at some of these questions here. Now before we begin, I went ahead and I totaled these two categories right here, just because that might come in handy. Now the question here, it says calculate the proportion of juniors that are currently working, not working, but have a job and never have a job. Okay, so the ones that are currently working, not working, but have had a job and never had a job. So 14 out of 51. So those are currently working. Right there. We want those proportions. So we got our 14 out of 51. So that's 0.275. And then we're going to have the not working job. That's going to be our 22 out of 51. That's 0.43. And then never job. We'll just say never. I've been working since I was 11, I think, babysitting, if that counts. So 15 out of 51. So that's 0.294. So go ahead and pause the video. I would like you to do the same thing for the seniors to make sure you can calculate those. We'll say these are our seniors. It's really important to label. So for our seniors currently working, got 30 out of 80, so that was 0.375. Not working but job, I got 0.5, and never having a job, 0.125. Now the last question says write a few sentences summarizing what the display reveals about the association between the grade level and the job experience for the students in the sample. Okay, so we're looking to see if there's a relationship. Now remember, for no relationship, we also talked about this in the video, the categorical variable. Our segmented bar chart, what we would have had to have here is these would have had to been very equal. So what we would have needed is all of these percents to be equal. Notice they're not. So there has to be an association. So what I have here is there is an association between employment status and grade level. Knowing whether a student is a junior or a senior impacts the likelihood of their employment status. For example, a senior is more likely to be working 38% than a junior, which is 27%.